Hello, students, and welcome to Reading Workshop for Thursday, October 29th, 2020. This is Miss Phillips, and I'm so excited for today's lesson. For today's lesson, you will need your pencil, your reading journal, and the Reading Workshop article that has been provided for you. If you do not have these materials, go ahead and collect them now, and then come back to press play. You can always print the article so it's easier to look at. Okay, now that you're back, I want to tell you about this great article I found after we go over our learning objectives. Learning objectives for today are: I will review how good readers synthesize and explain what gist means. We will recognize how readers synthesize to find the gist of a non-fictional text, and then you will read a non-fictional text and synthesize to find the gist. Okay, I found this great article about masks and their role in the cultures throughout history. It's interesting that for about 15,000 years, humans in almost every culture have created masks for a wide variety of reasons. Amazing pictures of masks, don't you think? While you're looking at the article, think about the times in your life that you have used, or even noticed masks. When have you used masks in your life? Take some time now, pause the video, and think about your answer to this question. Okay, welcome back. You were asked the question, when have you used masks in your life? Some of you may have answered Halloween. Absolutely. Halloween is a big time for masks. But what about plays? Some of you may have answered that you've used masks in plays or programs as well. In plays, actors wear masks. In ancient Greece, the actors wore masks, and we still see masks in some plays today. These are good examples of some ways that we use masks. Before we read this article, I want to share something with you. It's really tough to remember all the information that we meet every day, and even harder to remember all of what we read. When good readers read nonfiction, they read for the gist, which is the most essential information, or the bigger ideas. To do this, they have to synthesize the information. When we synthesize, we pare down the information, eliminate some of the less important details, and come up with the bigger picture. Readers, let me show you how to pare down information and come up with the bigger picture. Okay, the many faces of masks. This article is divided into sections with subheadings that you can see here. We see subheadings over and over again in nonfiction, don't we? Standard subheadings, question subheadings, and of course, inferential subheadings. I'm going to start reading this section with the inferential subheading, looking good. Huge eyes and sharp fangs may not look friendly, but audiences on the Indonesian island of Bali love this beast, called the barangket. In traditional plays about the battle of good and evil, the barangket stands for goodness. It also represents hard work. Getting those rich colors can take 150 coats of paint. Interesting. I'm going to go back and reread it slowly, thinking about how I might make this shorter by deleting some of the details and getting the bigger idea, the gist. You can pause the video now and reread it on your own. Then come back whenever you're ready. Okay, now that you're back and you've read this paragraph again, I want to say that one way to get the gist is to delete the details that don't support the bigger idea. I'm thinking that the part about the paint, although interesting, is not an important detail. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that detail. The eyes and fangs are details as well, but they make this creature look scary, which might be an important thing to mention later when I write down a short synthesis of the section. As I read on, I see that Indonesian people love this creature because it represents goodness and hard work. So that's an important part of the gist of the passage. It's probably important to mention where this creature is from, which is Indonesia. So I'm going to make a bulleted list of the bigger ideas on the chart. Here's my list here. I deleted the details that didn't support the bigger ideas. So I didn't put pain on the list but I will include goodness, hard work, fierce creature in Indonesia. This is my bigger ideas list. Now I'll use this list to write the gist in the first column of an anchor chart I've created. I want you to take the time now to create this anchor chart copy this anchor chart into your reading journal. Be sure to copy it because you're going to be using it later. Go now and pause the video to do this. Okay, now that you've copied down this anchor chart, I want to discuss it. Okay. Now I'm going to use the list created to write the gist in the first column of my anchor chart, including central ideas and leaving out the less important details. Remember, when I synthesize the information, I need to pare it down to the gist, a synthesis of the most important ideas. When I write the gist, I'm trying to collapse all of the writing in the text into a shorter form, but still including the most important ideas. Using the words from my list, I'm going to write that the Baron Ket, a fierce-looking creature of the Indonesian theater, represents goodness and hard work. Did you see how I used the bigger ideas list to create the gist of the information I read? Now let's try this part together. I'll read from the next 2 paragraphs. Put on a mask, and suddenly you're someone else. You've become Harry Potter, Princess Fiona, a cat, a crook, or a clown. Masks change the way you look and feel. No wonder people sometimes think that masks have magical powers. For about 15,000 years, humans have created masks to use in storytelling, prayer service, death rituals, and more. This photo essay brings you face to face with the masks from around the globe, and it tells some of the stories behind the masks. Okay, now that we've read those 2 paragraphs, I want to see if you can come up with the gist by following the steps I took earlier. I want you to see if you can come up with the gist by following the steps I took earlier. When I say go, pause the video and come up with the gist of these 2 paragraphs and write it down in your reading journal. Remember to delete the least important details and pare down the information into a shorter form. Go now. Okay, what are some of the ideas that we could include for the gist? What do you think? Let me see if you got it close. Some of you may have said that masks have been around for a long time and they change the way you look and feel. This is good thinking. But what about Harry Potter and Princess Fiona? Are these important ideas or are they just details? If you answered just details, you are correct. Good job. We will include the long time the masks have been around and how they change the way we look or feel. But we will delete the Harry Potter details. I'm also thinking that the summary would get too long if we mentioned all the uses they list for masks, so we can delete that information. We probably should say something about why people use them. How does this sound for the gist? For about 15,000 years, masks have been used for many different reasons. What do you think? Did we include the most important information but not say too much? Yes, of course we did. One of the most important aspects of synthesizing information is that we can come across new information. We often think differently from that point forward. New information changes our thinking. It might spur a question, give us a different perspective, or make us infer something. That is what happened for me. I now have this question. Since I'm surprised the frightening creature stands for goodness, I wondered why it looks so fierce and still represents goodness. Take a moment to notice your inner conversation or inner thoughts. What are you thinking as you reflect on the content of these 2 paragraphs? Jot down your thoughts into your reading journal. Make sure that you are writing your thoughts in the thinking column. Okay, welcome back. Do you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that ancient cultures used masks more than modern cultures do. But why? I'm going to write that under the thinking column. I'm not sure if it's true, but it might be. Do you see how the thinking part works? Today and every day, when you read, remember that good readers stop and think about the gist of what they read. I want you to practice this strategy whenever you read today. Read the informational text provided for 20 minutes and write down the gist of the text that you've read in your reading journal. Then follow the instructions your teacher gave you to turn in those notes. Thank you for joining me today.